Hello and welcome to Eat to Treat. I'm Dr. Amaris Williams and I do live cook-along cooking demonstrations every first and third Saturday of the month of diabetes-friendly and hypertension-friendly recipes. Today is a diabetes-friendly recipe. This is the first Saturday of the month, and you can find the ingredients for today's recipe at eat-to-treat at .org. Sorry. And that way you can join me in the kitchen while I make a delicious meal. So today we're making spinach and feta and smoked salmon mini quiches. And the first step is to turn your oven on to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I've already done this, so I'm not gonna walk away and do that. But if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and turn your oven on to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. The next step, my spinach is still frozen. I didn't take it out and put it in the fridge overnight. So I'm going to have to start with the spinach. If your spinach is not frozen, you can start with the onion. But because mine is frozen, I'm going to start cooking the spinach first. So I'm just going to put a tablespoon of olive oil in my pan. And then I will add the spinach. Turn it on first. And then add the spinach. And I'm using 10 ounces of spinach here. So that's the whole package. And I'm just going to cook this until it thaws and then keep cooking it until all the water or most of the water has evaporated. The point is to dry the spinach out. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit. I've got it on a 6 out of 10. The next step is to chop an onion. I'm going to chop this relatively finely because I don't want big pieces of onion in my quiche. So, but we don't need the whole onion. We only need half. So if you haven't peeled your onion yet, go ahead and peel it now. And then cut it in half. And while you're peeling your onion, let me show you the nutrition facts of this recipe. So we have about 16 grams of fat, which is 25% of the daily value. Most of that fat is monounsaturated fat, which is a healthier fat. And we've got about 571 milligrams of sodium. That is in the serving size is 2 mini quiches. So this recipe makes about 10 mini quiches. The serving size is to eat 2 of them with fruit or whatever you eat with quiche that you like to eat. For a diabetes-friendly recipe, I recommend some fruit or some whole grain, small amount of a whole grain like oatmeal or stone ground grits to pair with your quiche. All right. You should have an onion peeled by now. And so now that your onion is peeled and cut in half, the next thing is to cut it. So this is the root end of the onion, and this is the stem end of the onion. I'm going to cut the onion like this, parallel to the line between the root and the stem end, and cut through it almost to the root end. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm cutting it in very close parallel lines. All right, I'm going to stir my spinach. it's thawed now. Now that we're just gonna keep cooking it till the water is evaporated out. If you have a brick of spinach, if you went to the store and bought a 10-ounce brick of spinach, then you can still thaw it in the pan. It's better to thaw it in the fridge overnight, but if you thaw it in the pan, you just put it in there with some oil and then keep flipping the brick of spinach until it's thawed all the way through and the water is starting to cook out of it. All right, so now that I've cut the onion like this, and you can see the gaps here of how I cut it, I'm gonna cut it like this. So if I look at it from the side, I'm cutting it with the knife like this, and I'm going straight through. Not cutting all the way through the onion, just almost to the root end. I'm just doing 2 slices. All right. And so now we've got kind of a blooming onion type thing going on here, where the onion is in 3 layers with lots of different, I guess, columns. And we'll take this and then finally slice it all the way through, perpendicular to the first cuts that we made. So, and then the result will be minced onion. Okay. So as you can see now, the onion is in little dice, except for the root end, which I'm just gonna have to cut briefly here. But now the onion is diced, and we can add it to the pot with the spinach. And let me stir this. The reason why we're trying to cook all the water out of the spinach is because when we put it in the quiche, we don't want the quiche to be soggy, and it won't cook all the way through if the spinach has too much water in it. So that's why we're cooking all the water out of the spinach. And the reason why we cook the onion is simply because I just don't like the taste of raw onion. So I prefer cooked onion, and that's why I wrote the recipe to cook the onion. All right, next ingredient is garlic. I've got 3 garlic cloves, 4 garlic cloves, and like I showed you last week or 2 weeks ago, the easiest way to peel a garlic clove is to smash it first. So you put it under the flat part of your knife, and with the heel of your hand, just smash it. And that loosens the peel, and then it comes right off. All right, so I'm gonna do that with all 4 cloves. And now I'm just slicing the garlic cloves. Keeping my fingers curled under so that I can't cut off my fingertips or my fingernails or anything that is not supposed to be cut off. And now that the garlic is sliced, I can just rock my knife over, use the curve of the blade to rock the knife through the slices to get them nice and minced. And I'll do that a few times. All right. That's good enough for government work, as my uncle says. Stirring the spinach and the onions. It looks like I could use a little bit more oil in the pan. It's starting to get pretty dry. So I'm going to add another tablespoon of olive oil, and then I'll put the garlic in there. All right, stir that. Now that the garlic is in, I'm going to stir it constantly because I don't want the garlic to burn. And I'll just stir it for about a minute, and then we'll turn the heat off and prepare the egg and milk mixture that this is going to go in. All right, that's enough of that. So the next step is to crack some eggs. So we need 6 eggs and a large bowl. Oh yeah, the onion is much easier to cook if you leave the root end intact. Much easier to cut if you leave the root end intact while you're cutting it, because then it won't fall apart on you as you cut the onion. All right. Now I'm going to beat these eggs. It is easy. I don't make it look easy. It just is easy. This is a very simple recipe that anyone can make. Very low carbohydrate. If you're on a ketogenic diet, which is good for weight loss in the short term, this is a keto-friendly recipe. All right, so we got the eggs beaten. Now I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. This is skim milk, keeping the saturated fat low in this recipe. So that's 1 cup of milk. I'm just going to whisk that in. All right. Now, there's going to be a decent amount of salt in the feta and the smoked salmon that we're going to put in this. So we're not going to add too much salt to the eggs, but we do want to add some salt because otherwise it won't be flavorful. So I'm adding about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'll add some pepper. The pepper is as much as you like. If you really like pepper, then go ahead and really crank it. But I like to be light on the pepper, so I'm just adding that much. And I'm gonna mix that in. The last step, which is for this, we're almost done, is we're going to cut up this salmon. This is a 4-ounce package of salmon. So I'm going to use about half of it, or 2 ounces. The rest of this you can put in a Tupperware or Ziploc bag. It keeps for a decent amount of time, partially because it's got a decent amount of salt in it. But and this is good on bagels and bagels with cream cheese, and just by itself, really. I just eat it. But you can put it on crackers with cheese as well for a lunchtime snack. Whole grain crackers, of course. So I'm just going to roughly cut this. Again, with my fingers curled under. Don't want to do like this. That's not conducive to keeping your fingertips attached to your body. And I'm gonna cut it this way. And now we've got some little pieces of smoked salmon. And the last step is to mix everything together, including some crumbled feta. I bought this already crumbled, so there's no cutting or anything necessary. So I'm going to add, I think the first thing I want to add is the salmon to the eggs. Go ahead and add that. Then I'll add, this is a 6-ounce package of feta. So I'm just going to add half of it because the recipe calls for 3 ounces. All right. That might have been a little bit more than half. Feta is a relatively low-fat cheese, so it should be okay. And the last ingredient is all this spinach and onion and garlic. And we'll put that in there. I forgot to tell you guys, if you're using a metal muffin pan, you need to grease it first. And to grease it, I would use a little bit of olive oil on a paper towel and just wipe the inside of the muffin pan cups with the paper towel with the olive oil on it. So mix this up really well so that you don't get any dry chunks of spinach. We want the spinach to be surrounded by egg in the quiches. And I'm using this regular silicone muffin pan. These muffin cups are about 1/2 cup each. So if you're using a bigger or smaller cup size, you may have to adjust your baking time a little. But this makes 10 of these 1/2 cup muffin pan quiches, like I said when I was talking about the nutrition facts, and 2 of them is a serving. And um, here comes the cat. She's come out of her hiding place. She smells the salmon. Anyway, these are gonna bake at 350. We have already preheated our oven at 350. So if your oven is not on at 350, please turn your oven on at 350. And we're gonna bake it for 25 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven. If you use a silicone pan, the quiches kind of rise up a little bit when they're done. They kind of like sit crooked in the pan because they've puffed up, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but another way you can know if they're done is to insert a knife in the middle of one of these in one of these muffin cups, and it should come out clean. So 25 to 30 minutes, insert a knife or a toothpick or a skewer or whatever you have in the middle, and it should come out clean. Standard advice for baking is stick a knife in it, should be clean, and that's how you know it's done. And that's whether you're doing quiches or cakes or cornbread or anything like that. All right. Now, I only have a 6-cup muffin pan. I do not have another one. So, what I do have is this Texas size muffin pan. This is not a serving size. This is huge. So I wouldn't recommend using a ginormous muffin pan like that. And because this is silicone, it doesn't have a lot of stand-up power, so I have to put it on a cookie sheet before I can put it in the oven. All right. So now I'm going to put mine in the oven, and then I'll come back and do an outro, and we can be done. Okay, that was quick and easy. We're at 25 minutes, including me talking. So that was a quick recipe. Let me show you what they look like when they're done. I made this plate. I couldn't resist making it look kind of like a smiley face, but it's the 2 quiches, that's the 1 serving, plus 1 cutie of mandarin orange, some pomegranate arils, and these are some fancy tomatoes that I found on sale. So that's kind of what a serving looks like. Do you use any type of topping? You might top it with more feta if you were interested in that. I'm trying to keep it as low carb as possible, so I wouldn't recommend topping it with anything sweet or anything like that. Maybe you can use the extra salmon to make a garnish on top, as well as using the fruit that goes with it. But I like it as it is, straight out of the oven. It doesn't sour cream would be a good topping. It doesn't have carbohydrates in it. Just get a low fat sour cream and put that on top if you like that. What was I about to say though? The fruit. So let me change camera angles here. The fruit will raise blood sugar, but the protein and the fat in the quiche will slow that rise. So that's why this is a diabetes friendly recipe, in addition to the fact that it's got lots of fruits and vegetables in it. So this plate, the plate that I showed, which now you can't see because I changed the camera angle, but that's a good diabetes friendly plate and healthy for you. The only thing that could make it better is if there were a little bit of whole grain in there, but that would raise blood sugar even more. So keep it to the fruit and the quiche, and everything will be great. And tomatoes botanically are fruits, but as far as blood sugar goes, they consider them more like a vegetable because they don't raise blood sugar as much as other fruit. And that's it. So today we made diabetes friendly meal, mini quiches with spinach and salmon and feta. And the next demonstration will be on today's the 4th, so the 18th of February. And I'll see you next time. All right, bye.